Spoiled royal. He noticed the fancy clothing on the bed. The jacket was adorned with shiny buttons and a pressed collar. Voices came from beyond the smaller door across the way. He couldn't tell if it was a heated conversation or a lover's spat. No matter. All Aidan needed was a few precious seconds to scan the room. Then he saw it. Nestled under one of the uniforms was the silver hilt of a dagger. Aidan put down the tray, taking care to first remove the gilded napkin ring and slip it into his pocket. It was a greedy gesture, but he reasoned a little insurance never hurt. Picking up the embellished piece, Aidan noted the inlaid jewels and deduced this was probably a courting gift rather than a weapon. Something this beautiful should never shed blood. The door opened. "You there!" A partially clothed man with a short haircut stood in the smaller doorway, glaring. Aidan gave an exaggerated bow as he hid the dagger behind his back. "Compliments of the royal kitchen, your highness." He swept his other hand toward the tray, then did a quick twirl as he slipped the dagger into his pocket and made his way toward the door. "Enjoy the cakes," he sang over his shoulder, unable to keep the smile off his face. Not only were his days of being the chore boy over, but the ornate dagger guaranteed the last bit of cash to get him a ticket off this miserable planet. The door slid closed behind him, and he let out a satisfied sigh. The android was frozen with her arms out front, as if she was still holding the tray. "Nice working with you," Aidan said with a wink. "Forgive my hasty departure." "Thief!" the prince yelled from the other side of the door. "I'm calling the guards." Aidan scrambled for the servants' lift, only to find it was on another floor. Doubling back, he sprinted down the corridor, his boot slapping a guilty echo. He turned the corner and saw the main lift 10 feet down the hall. It was a risk for a servant to use it, but he had no choice. He pressed the call button, swearing under his breath as nothing happened. The voices of the Queen's Guard echoed like rolling thunder from the far end of the hall. How did they get here so fast? Aidan looked around and spied a tall alcove. Sucking in his breath, he slipped behind the life-size statue of some long-dead royal he couldn't care less about. Moulding his back into the curved niche in the wall, he felt the familiar twinges to both temples and knew things couldn't get much worse. Another headache was building, and this one promised to be the torturous kind that squeezed his skull to the point of passing out. And even though it meant relief, passing out now would guarantee him a lifetime in the dungeons. Standing as still as stone, Aidan stared at the other statue across the hallway in its own alcove. He held his breath as the guards closed the distance. He estimated there were at least 3 of them, and all would be armed, he was certain. From the corner of his eye, he saw the Queen's Guard come into view. Tall and imposing, the black cloaks and swords evoked a chilling respect from anyone who came face to face with them. The leader paused directly in front of Aidan's alcove. The other 2 guards halted. "Slippery bugger," he muttered, looking down the long, empty corridor. "Take the stairs. He can't have gotten far." "Yes, Colonel Ashton." There was a swish of capes as the guards turned and ran in the opposite direction. Aidan slowly relaxed. The lift sounded as the doors opened. Aidan bounded inside. He reached for the main floor button, but then paused. The guards would be waiting for him, no doubt. His fingers shifted, and he hit the top button. The lift came to a stop and the doors opened, revealing the launching bay. He was stunned for a moment, never having been close to this many grand ships before. Then Aidan saw a row of Queen's Guard gliders. They had 50 times the manoeuvring capability of the beat-up Sky Dodger he skimmed over Pirates Canyon. They were probably trickier to fly as well, but this day was apparently made for taking chances. All he would have to do was hop on one, and the sky would be his. Before he could race to the nearest glider, a vessel on his left came to life. The door eased open as if summoning him. "Queen's Guard patrol ship," he whispered, equal parts awe and trepidation. He could get much farther in a ship than an open glider, maybe even make it to another planet. No longer thinking about the metal box under his bed, Aidan seized the opportunity and eased his way inside. He stared at the complex cockpit, suddenly overwhelmed. Anxiety set in. Aidan pulled at the collar of his shirt, frantically unbuttoned.